All right, so objective 17. Pardon my voice, I'm still sick. So just hang in there with me. So level 2s are finding the angle measurement using properties of parallel lines. So the first one is just listing the angles that are congruent because the lines are parallel. I believe you guys did this last year. So I just want to do a quick refresh with you to determine which ones are congruent and then which ones are supplementary if you have parallel lines. So if we zoom in here, A and B are parallel, okay, which means they run in the same direction. So that gives us a couple things that are congruent. Let's list those first. So congruent angles are going to be angles like 1 and 5. Okay, 1 and 5 are congruent because they're in the same place. So if I draw a box around these angles and these angles, notice how 1 and 5 are in the same part of the box or in the upper left-hand corner. They're congruent. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and label this angle 3 and that angle 4. Okay. Angles that are also in the same place are 3 and 7. Again, like bottom left, bottom left. So 3 is congruent to 7. Then 4 would be congruent to 8. Using that same logic. And then 2 is also congruent to 6. So those are congruent. There's a bunch of other ones that are congruent. If we're talking about number 1 and number 8, okay, those are both on the outside of the parallel lines. And by outside, I mean this one, I'm looking up, B, I'm looking down, so I'm on the outside of the lines, and they're on opposite sides of the center line called the transversal. So the center line that goes right down the middle here. So those angles 1 and 8 are equal. And then same thing with 7 and 2. Okay, those are also equal. One more set of congruent are on the inside. So angle 3 and angle 6 are congruent. Just like 1 and 8 and 2 and 7, they were on the opposite sides of the red line. But this time they're on the inside of the parallel lines, but those are still congruent. So 3 is congruent to 6. And then the same thing on the other side. 4 and 5 are congruent. Okay, so those are the ones that are congruent. And then, of course, we have our vertical angles like 2 and 3, 1 and 4. Those are still congruent. But the ones that we listed are just because those two lines are parallel that we have that relationship. Okay, all right, I'm going to go ahead and erase this. If I can. So I can't erase it. It doesn't look like, sorry. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw a new figure. So go ahead and just fast forward this while you wait for me to draw this. Okay, so now that we've got a clean diagram, we're going to be looking at this new diagram, so ignore what we did with the congruence. Now we're going to look at supplementary. So as always, we have like 6 and 8. Those are going to be supplementary. 7 and 8 supplementary. 5 and 7 supplementary, and etc. because they're next to each other and they form a straight line. So we're not going to list those because those are always going to be supplementary no matter if these lines, the black lines, are parallel or not. Because we have parallel lines, we do have angles that are supplementary. And those angles are angles like 4 and 6. Okay, angle 4 and 6 are supplementary, meaning they add to 180. Okay, they're both on the inside of the parallel lines like we talked about before, but this time they're on the same side. They're both on the right side of the red line. Same thing with 3 and 5. Okay, 3 and 5 are on now the left side of the red line, but still inside the parallel lines. which makes them equal to 180. Same thing with the outside angles. If we're talking outside the parallel lines, I'll mark these in blue. 1 and 7, they're on the outside of the parallel lines, but on the same side of that red line of the transversal. So 1 and 7 are supplementary as well. And very similar, 2 and 8. Okay, they're just on the right side of the transversal now. Okay, so that was just a little review for you. Good thing to reference as you're going back and trying to do some problems. Okay, let's look at number 2 now. Now that we know those. It says, given the diagram below, determine the value of x and y. So I'm going to use what I know from above and try and either make some equations or find an angle that I can maybe set equal to. And there's not one right way that you can do these. It happens just how you see it. So just because you set it up differently than someone in your group doesn't mean that it's wrong. There's a lot of different ways that you can go about doing this. So if I look at this picture, typically I like to turn my paper or my iPad so the lines are going parallel, going horizontal. So I'm going to turn my iPad so I can see that. So I would really like turn the picture like this. So now my parallel lines are going horizontally. It just helps me see it better. If it doesn't help you, don't do it. Okay, so if I look at this picture, there's a couple things that stand out to me. One, I've got a couple lines that intersect it. Here's one. And then I've got the other one running the other direction, right here. So if I look at the red line first, I have 133 degrees. And then I know that these inside angles and on the right side, left side of the red line are going to be supplementary. So 180 minus 133 is going to be 47. So while that was an angle that I didn't have to find, I just did because I saw an opportunity that I could write an angle down or find a measurement. Okay. Same thing on the other side. I've got 124 over here. So this angle down here will be the supplement to 124, which is 56. And once again, not an angle that I needed to find, but it might help me find x and y. Something else that I see, I can find out this angle because these three angles here, 47, the unknown angle in between, and the 56, are supplementary. So if I take 180 and subtract 47 and 56, I'm going to get 77 to be that middle angle. Okay, so now that I have something, maybe I can solve for x and y now. So if I look at this group over here, I see some vertical angles. I see 2x plus 4 is vertical to 47, so it's going to equal 47 because vertical angles are equal. So this is how I can solve for x. So x is going to equal 21.5. Whoops. Okay, and then with the y's, I see that 3y plus 5 is vertical to 77, so I'm going to set those equal as well. And then y is going to equal 24. Okay, so I got y equal 24 and xt equal 21.5. So, like I said, just kind of like piece information together, use the angles that are above, whether they're congruent or supplementary, and then kind of piece everything together from there.